Hey there, folks. I'm Tim Freitas from the Garden of English. You're, well, you. And I'm glad you're you. And that you're here because I have to tell you some secrets. But only to you. Come closer. It's important. Ha! Y'all are lucky I'm not a siren, otherwise you'd be drowning. But I'm actually here to help you do the exact opposite. I want to make writing sophisticated conclusions for synthesis and research papers be the smoothest sailing experience that you've ever had. So, what's my first secret to excellent conclusions? Don't write conclusions that just summarize your papers. You've probably been hearing that for a long time, and you'll never see it in professional writing. Conclusions that do that are super lame. And they don't add anything to the argument. Because of this, if you write a conclusion that actually just summarizes your paper and does nothing, you're just wasting your time both in class and on your AP exam day. Now, here's secret 2. Conclusions for essays are actually covered in units 4 and 7 of the AP English Language course and exam description. Did you know that I have a comprehensive guide to the entire AP Lang course that covers all of the content in the course and exam description that the College Board provides for your teachers? The same one that guides the whole class? Well, if you didn't know, you do now. In units 4 and 7 of the guide that I've created, I have plenty more examples and explanations with practice if you're interested in learning more about intros and conclusions. You can check out this CED guide in the description below this video. I've created it just for you. If you sign up, even for the trial, you'll have access to a bunch of helpful stuff. So I encourage you to check it out. Now, I do know that you care more about learning how to write conclusions than hearing me ramble on about other things. Blah, blah, blah. So let's get into it. What is the secret sauce for writing synthesis conclusions? I'll tell you, and it does not involve Thousand Island dressing. The major secret is giving your argument a face. You may be thinking to yourself, what is this guy, crazy? He just wants me to draw a face for my conclusion and expects it to look sophisticated? Nah, that's not what I mean. Nope. What I mean about giving your argument a face is this. I want you to make your synthesis conclusion more personal because it will make your overarching argument more emotional. Let me give you an example. Why is it that charity commercials are so effective besides the fact that many are actually advocating for good causes? Well, it's because they actually show pictures of problems that they're trying to solve. Honestly, think about the average animal rights commercial that you've ever seen. You're guaranteed to not only hear statistics about animal abuse, but you'll also see plenty of animals that are clearly neglected. The statistics, of course, mean something, and they provide evidence for the reasoning of the argument, but it's the pictures that really drive the point home. You don't just hear about abused animals, you see them, and you see them restored. And this builds hope, so it makes it even more easy to support these types of causes. All because the argument is given a face. In our case, we're going to give our synthesis essays human faces so we can reasonably and emotionally motivate any reader to understand our message and then move to action. An emotional and logical conclusion is an incredibly moving one. So how about I teach you how to write it? Here we go. I'm going to continue to provide examples based on the horror prompt that I've been focusing on throughout this whole synthesis process. But today I'm going to throw you a curveball. Up until now, I've been arguing that horror-based media is essentially beneficial, but this is actually not my position. I've explained why I've argued against what I really think in past videos, so if you're interested in knowing why, make sure that you watch those if you haven't. Of course, I've linked that entire playlist that will help you with all of these synthesis tasks in the description right below this video. You'll also find the like button down there, and the subscribe button, and the super thanks button, and the channel membership button, and links to Garden of English merch. So while you're down there looking for the link to the Everything Synthesis playlist, consider supporting the Garden of English in any way that you're able. And perhaps even pick up a cool sticker or t-shirt, or gift one to your teacher. Anyway, since I don't actually like horror films, like at all, today I'm going to show you how to write a conclusion with a face that would be for an essay arguing against the value of horror-based entertainment. I'm representing my true position today. Conclusions need to be idea and action based. So, the first thing you need to do when writing a conclusion is to list out 4 to 7 ideas that your entire preceding paper relates to. Ideas are singular and they are abstract. That means that you can't touch them. Can't touch this. So if I were to list out ideas that a paper arguing against horror-based entertainment would explore, I'd identify things like fear, maturity, thrill, suspense, danger, entertainment, safety, reality, and fiction. Truth be told, some of these ideas can even come from the idea chart that you made when you broke down the prompt as I taught you to do in this particular video. Great. Once you have some ideas, we know we can write a conclusion that's going to be reasonably on topic. So now we're going to work to give this argument the face that I was talking about earlier. Your next step in writing a conclusion is to think about some personal experiences you've had that hold emotional weight and logically relate to the topic of your paper and your argument. If you don't have any personal experience with the ideas and topic of the paper, think about those other people that you know. You can relate one of their experiences to. Someone you know has some experience with the topic of the synthesis prompt.
I guarantee it.
For me, I used to watch Hitchcock movies with my family. I looked forward to it almost every week. Not only could I experience some thrills, but I could do it while bonding with my sister and my parents. But my love for horror films began to dissipate when I watched Saw and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with my high school friends. I didn't like how realistic and gruesome they actually were. And don't even get me started about The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
Okay, so you get my point here. I'm just telling stories, but these stories relate to the ideas that I created in step 1 of writing the conclusion. So now, what we do for our third step of writing a conclusion is begin to produce up to 4 sentences that tell the story or stories from step 2 while connecting those stories to the ideas of step 1. The beginning of my conclusion would look like this. Some of my fondest memories are about the times when my family would go to the local video store, well before streaming services, and pick out a few Hitchcock films. We would then go home, make snacks, get drinks, and all experience the suspense and drama together. No matter how thrilling the movie was, I knew I was safe, so I got to experience the best sides of human emotion. However, as I got older and the movies grew continually more violent and supernaturally dark, even though I would view them with my friends, I realized that the stain of the thrill wasn't comforted by those who surrounded me or by the idea that all of it was fake. So now I'm telling a story, but what we have to do is drive this story toward universal action, not just a consideration of my life. When I write about myself, folks, I don't want to sound like a narcissist. I want to purposefully include myself to show that I relate to the topic at hand in some way. I'm now going to finish my conclusion by doing 3 things. I'm going to shift from talking about myself to talking about individuals and people outside of myself, creating some more universal experience. I'm going to include a snippet of a pertinent quote from one of the sources that is no more than 6 words. And I'm going to leave a glass slipper. What I mean by that is that I want to make some sort of astute observation at the end of my conclusion so that the reader will not only be forced to respond,
Look at me.
but will want to hear more from me about the topic. In fact, we want that reader to want to know so much more about me and what I have to say, that reader would want to chase me around the country just to hear all of the insight that I can provide. The easiest way to shift towards this is by considering what you want your audience to do, whether or not you want them to have a positive or negative experience by the time that they're done reading your conclusion. Once you make that decision, you just need to make sure that your audience feels either while he or she reflects on the universal truth bomb that you're about to drop in your last sentence. This universal part of your conclusion should be between 1 and 3 sentences. Ultimately, your conclusion should be no more than 7 sentences, and a good rule of thumb is no less than 3. Here's a pro tip. I have a former student who would always begin shifting to his universal ending by beginning his sentence with the phrase, "in a world where." It was a great move, and you should consider doing that too. I'm going to do that so that you and I can check out how this conclusion would finish. Here it is. In a world where individuals, myself included, consume immense amounts of entertainment, it's important to recognize that much of it is actually psychologically poisonous. Since health officials and social scientists alike consistently highlight the value of focusing on mental health, it seems best to make positive media choices before poor ones could disturb individuals for the rest of their lives. Now, there you have it. And of course, you can find a document that has all of these conclusion steps and the full example right in the description down below. Practice these steps and these tips, and you'll be working towards earning a 5 on your exam in no time. And once you work on your conclusions for synthesis and perfect them, I want you to join me in learning how to write the many other types of essays that you'll see, not only on your AP exam, but in your trek through college as well. You can check out what I have to offer about these essays right about now.